Welcome back to Newsmax Now. References to God have been fading over the past 2 years. Obama ended his 2013 Independence Day address with the typical presidential closing, "So God bless you all, and may God bless the United States of America." But in 2014, he shortened it to simply "God bless you all." And this year, well, take a listen.
We honor everyone who continually strives to make this country a better, stronger, more inclusive, more hopeful place. And we, the people, pledge to make their task our own, to secure the promise of our founding words for our own children and our children's children. And finally, what better weekend than this to cheer on Team USA. Good luck to the U.S. women's national team in the World Cup final. Thanks, everybody. From my family to yours, have a safe and happy 4th of July.
So, notice anything missing? No references to God. So that's a great place to bring in our roundtable. And today we want to welcome in columnist of Newsday radio and television commentator Ellis Henican. So good to have you back. And rejoining us, staff writer for the Weekly Standard, Mike Warren. Thank you both for joining us. Hope you guys had a great 4th of July. Ellis, I want to start with you. What do you think about the president leaving God out of his Independence Day address? Big deal? Should we be concerned?
I'm not too concerned. No, I don't think America should be a theocracy like ISIS maybe or Iran. I think we're much better off. In fact, the very reason, one of the important reasons this nation was founded was in order to separate civil government from religious beliefs. And I don't know, if Mike wants to defend more cheap religious pandering by politicians, he can have that position, because you're not going to hear it from me.
All right, Mike, what are we going to hear from you?
Well, I think we heard what the president's real religion is there at the end, which is U.S. men's and women's soccer team. I don't know. If I'm going to be outraged about this, I guess I could say, this is a problem with a more secularizing culture, and that, yes, there is a sort of a general concept of separation of church and state, but God has always been, and religion has always been a major part of American culture. That's not the case so much anymore, and I think President Obama is saying that is reflective of that. If you want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's just something he left out, then I got to say, President's words matter, and he should maybe think a little more about what he's saying and the implications, or what he's not saying. But maybe this is really what he thinks. It's not so much important that God bless America, and it's reflective of where we are as a culture.
But is it fair to be critical of this when we just heard him sing Amazing Grace at a South Carolina church?
He did mention the Creator, too, when talking about the Declaration of Independence. Right. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. This candidate, Ted Cruz, actually was at a super church in Atlanta this past weekend. But on the shows on Sunday, I think it was Meet the Press, he says he won't attack primary rival Donald Trump for his comments on Mexican immigrants. Let's take a listen.
I salute Donald Trump for focusing on the need to address illegal immigration. The Washington cartel doesn't want to address that. The Washington cartel doesn't believe we need to secure the borders. The Washington cartel supports amnesty, and I think amnesty is wrong, and I salute Donald Trump for focusing on it. He has a colorful way of speaking. It's not the way I speak.
It just seems like this is the latest talking point now. Republican candidates had to talk about the Confederate flag, about gay marriage, now responding to Donald Trump. Ellis, do you think that Senator Cruz does himself any service by backing Donald Trump in his comments?
Colorful language, I guess, calling a whole nation rapists and drug dealers. Listen, it's an idiotic thing to say. How it is you could try and defend it is beyond me. Here's the problem for Republican presidential candidates, however. While Trump's language, his racist language, is outside of the mainstream of Republican politics today, big league candidates don't talk like that from either party. The views that underlie it, right? The idea that we can solve America's immigration problems by evicting 12 million hardworking people, building a high fence or a huge wall at the border, and somehow or another that's a modern, comprehensive answer to our immigration issues, to me, is embraced by almost all the candidates in this race. So while Donald's language is abhorrent to pretty much everybody except maybe Cruz, the others have the problem of trying to explain how their positions are actually any different from Donald's.
And Mike, that seems to be Donald Trump's appeal, though, the way that he is talking like a non-politician. But from the standpoint of Jeb Bush coming out against him, even Rick Perry speaking out against Donald Trump, is that a winning issue for them, or do you think most people are siding with Donald Trump in this discussion?
Are you talking language or are you talking politics? I mean, they don't agree with his language, but they like his politics.
Let's Mike let's get his thoughts first.
Well, I just think that Republican candidates who are actually talking about Donald Trump and not pivoting from that question about Trump to the important issues that they're trying to discuss, they're all making a mistake. I think Cruz is making a mistake. I think Bush makes a mistake. But they should look to what Trump is saying and getting people excited about, and maybe take some lessons from that. That more unvarnished, less politician talk is a way to get people excited. Donald Trump is not representative of the Republican Party. He's not going to be the nominee. But these Republicans shouldn't be afraid of him. They should learn some lessons from him. That doesn't mean going around calling all Mexicans rapists. But it does. Yeah, there are some communication lessons there they ought to be making.
We're going to have to leave it there, gentlemen.
Saying I salute Trump. It's ridiculous.
We're going to have to leave it there. We'll be right back.
We are back for round two of this roundtable. Thank you so much to Ellis Henican. He's the Newsday radio and television commentator and also the staff writer of the Weekly Standard. Mike Warren's joining us again.
All right, let's talk about C.J. Pearson. He's a 12-year-old from Georgia. We've had him here on Newsmax now. Word is now that he's been threatened over his conservative views. He posted this statement saying he feels he needs to take a break from politics and political commentary. Again, the kid's 12 years old. Okay, he had a horribly rough night on Twitter after a woman not only threatened to sue him for expressing his opinions, but threatened his family. Now, just this past week, the Supreme Court ruled that if the government wants to criminally prosecute someone for his or her words, it must do more than show a threat. Chief Justice John Roberts Jr. wrote this: in the age of the internet, when anyone can post anything for the world to see, it was an important affirmation of the need to protect speech and to require the government to meet a stricter legal standard when trying to punish people for their words alone. So I want to start with you, Ellis. What does this mean for CJ's freedom of speech?
Well, listen, I sympathize with CJ. Sometimes I feel like I need a break, right? And we all get some nasty Twitter posts and email and Facebook attacks. I mean, what can I tell you? Welcome to the arena, CJ.
But he's 12 and this stuff ought to rise to the...
No, of course not. That doesn't mean, and there are some crazy people out there. I'm not sure that the answer is to toughen the laws or to lock up people who say harsh things. But yeah, we have legal lines where you can't actually threaten violence on somebody, and I hope CJ will defend me if somebody tries to come and kill me. How about that?
I like that. Like that. Very, very well done. Have you ever had anybody threaten you, Ellis? Just curious.
Sure. Come on.
Yeah?
I'm on television. I'm on the radio. What do you think?
Yeah? I'm just curious. And have you ever done anything about those threats?
No, I ignore them. I figure the people who tell you they're going to do it aren't the ones who really going to do it.
All right, Mike, I want to get your advice. Well, first of all, let's get your thoughts, and then maybe we can get your advice, both of you, on what you would give CJ. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, listen, I think the internet is just such a cesspool sometimes because there's anonymity and people say what they think, and it's not necessarily what they're actually going to do. They're sort of more responding in an emotional state. So, look, I think that if there's an actual credible threat, then the government has a responsibility to act on that. If there's some kind of civil action that needs to be taken, if you feel threatened enough that you need to find that person, use their, get their ISP to get their IP address and all that stuff, then that's fine. But look, this is, I think there is a problem today. It's sort of a chilling effect on speech when there's such a vitriolic reaction that there are certain views that you're unable to hold. I think we saw this a lot in the wake of the Supreme Court case on gay marriage. There were a couple of news outlets out there that said, we don't take any other sides on this anymore, that there's only one side, which is that marriage should be open to both gay couples and straight couples. And I think there is sort of a chilling effect that comes when your political opponents are seen as having views that aren't even valid or believable. So I think that is a problem. I would just advise CJ to stick with it and don't give in to the haters.
Yeah, that's what they want, right? For him to stop tweeting, stop being a presence on social media. And he does have an important voice at 12 years old. We want more young people to be involved in the process. But also, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts about right now where our country is at from a partisan standpoint? Do you think it's getting rougher and tougher out there in the world of trying to express opinions and really have something important to say?
Yeah, of course it is. The dialogue is getting harsher. But one log I'd like to toss on this fire is that it's still important, and I try to do this in my own life, to show up in venues where the audience doesn't necessarily universally agree with you. I mean, it might surprise you guys to learn that not every single Newsmax viewer agrees with every single position that I express. And while a lot of people spend time just in the amen chorus, you know, only talking to those that agree with them, I think it's kind of more fun when you mix it up a little bit. So I would encourage CJ to continue that dialogue, even in hostile terrains.
That was good advice. I like that. I am shocked right now, Ellis, that you would even suggest that. I think you might be surprised that there are more people that agree with you, huh?
You know what? They all ought to, I would say. They all ought to agree with me.
Ellis Henican, Mike Warren, always good to have you here on Newsmax Now. Thanks so much for your insight.
Good to see you guys.
Someone that gets some pretty nasty tweets and emails from time to time is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's one of those people right now that's really polarizing. I find a lot of people really love what he's having to say, but then again, he's also getting a lot of detractors out there as well.
I would definitely agree with you. We heard from our roundtable, so we want to hear from you about Donald Trump. Now, as we mentioned earlier, he's rising in the polls. 12%, right? Just below Jeb Bush.
That's right,
One of the
number
latest
2.
Polls. So we want to know, would you vote for him? Go to our newsmaxpolls.com. Go to Newsmax, rather, newsmaxpolls.com to cast your vote. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
I would guess that he's going to get a lot of attention right now in some of those early primary states, and especially if he allows himself at the debates to voice some of these opinions. He certainly has something to say. Can he be a viable candidate for president? I don't know.
But he's definitely going to stir up the pot and keep people on their toes.
Will.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
You're watching Newsmax Now. Still plenty more to come. We're going to talk more about Greece's economy and other late-breaking news.